Hi everyone and welcome to the next exercise on emergency medical services, where the first task is to explain the term response time and what kind of events and activities are taking place during this time, which is crucial and which should be between 8 and 15 minutes depending on the state in Germany, for instance. So first of all, we have the call of the patient. This is the call. Okay, so this is the first event. Then on the phone, they are asking the patient or those who are calling about the symptoms of the patient, if the patient is conscious, if they can breathe, or some kind of symptoms like vomiting blood or something like this. So to make some kind of a triage decision. Okay, so then we start with the triage. Okay, to understand how critical the condition is for the patient, and then of course dispatch the ambulance. Okay, so that means we now assign the ambulance assignment. Okay, and then we have this due time. Okay, in German it's Ausrückzeit, where the paramedics are getting ready, grabbing some kind of equipment, taking the clothes and so on. So everything that is necessary for the call. And then the ambulance departures. Okay, so departures. And then we have the travel time, of course, depending on the traffic, maybe some kind of congestion, the distance, and so on, time of the day. And then we have the arrival at the patient. Okay, arrival. Okay, so this is the response time, which is, as I said, regulated in many countries, where we have to be on time or within a particular time on the scene. Okay, next one. Explain the differences between the ambulance location formulation, the maximum, or let's say the LSCM, which is the location set covering model, and the maximum covering location model. Okay, what are the differences? Okay, so on the left hand side we have the location set covering model. So we have the set of demand nodes, and we have a set of potential nodes for locating the ambulances, the bases basically. And then we have WI. This is the set of location sites that can are nearby, so that they can cover demand node I. And the variable is xi is 1 if an ambulance is located at node j, or 0 otherwise. And in the case of maximum covering location problem, we need some kind of additional parameters. So this is the first difference here. We take the demand at each demand node into account, and the number of available ambulances is fixed. So that is what the decision maker has to give you as input parameter. And the variables not only x but also y, and here y is 1 if node I and demand node I can be covered by at least one ambulance. And therefore we have some different formulations of both models. So on the left hand side we would like to minimize the number of ambulances. So the number of ambulances is not fixed here, but this is a decision variable. This is a result of this model. The number of ambulances that are located at each point and each node, so that every demand node, this is given in this constraint group, so that every demand node is covered. Okay, so we, on one hand, we decide on the number of the ambulances, and on the other hand we want to restrict the model so that demand nodes are covered. On the other hand, the maximum covering location problem, the objective is first of all, to maximize. So here we had a minimization model, here we have a maximization model, and here we would like to maximize demand coverage. Okay. And we want to have at least one ambulance to cover the demand node I. Okay. Although we have to take into account that the number of available ambulances is fixed. So what does it mean? Okay, so here we have this kind of differences. So first of all, we have the inclusion of demand per node. Okay, so in the location set covering model, demand itself is not considered at all. So we don't care if one node is more densely populated than other nodes. We're simply trying to cover every demand node, okay, without taking the population size maybe into account. The second difference is the number of ambulances. So in the set covering model, this is a decision variable. So we want to try to minimize the number of ambulances, but restricting it so that we have all demand nodes covered. So that means at the end, we could end up with a higher number of ambulances that are needed in comparison to the maximum covering allocation model, where the number of ambulances is given beforehand. Okay, so if the decision maker knows anyway, we cannot assign more than 10 ambulances anyway, because we don't have the budget or something like this, different types of restrictions, and we cannot assign more than 10 ambulances. It could happen that we might not cover every demand node, and so therefore the objective function is also different. In the maximal covering problem, we try to maximize the covered demand. In the set covering model, we try to minimize the number of ambulances. So the coverage is different. In the set covering model, we can be sure that all demand nodes are covered. For this, we might need, let's say, 20 number of ambulances. And for the maximum covering model, it could happen that we have demand nodes that are uncovered, okay, because they are not within this distance, okay, because we have a limited number of ambulances. We cannot make more out of it. Okay, and given the number of ambulances we can assign, we try to maximize as much as possible of demand coverage. And with this, I would like to thank you for your attention.